Welcome to MJSA Online. I'm your host, Andrea Hill, and before we get started, can a couple of you just go to the chat bar? It's either to the right of your video screen or just beneath it, and just let me know if you can see and hear me okay. And Morgane and Ted, could you say hello? Let's make sure they can hear you too.
Hello, Morgane.
Hello.
Hi, Andrea.
Hi.
Can you
All
hear
right.
me good? Yeah.
You can see us and hear us. I think we're on our way. If any of you are not having a great video or audio reception, you may want to switch and go to either a Chrome or a Firefox browser. Safari browsers in particular don't work well with this system, but Chrome or Firefox will get you there. And of course, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch it in replay if your reception's really bad, which I hope it's not, because I like your questions today and your conversation. Okay, so let's get started. So like I said, I'm Andrea Hill, and I'm your host for MJSA Expo Online. We started Expo Online at the beginning of the pandemic when, like all the trade shows, MJSA Expo had to cancel. And initially, it was just a way to bridge the gap. But it's no longer just a matter of bridging the gap. We realize that there's a place for MJSA Expo all the time because it's important to build relationships within our supply chain. And this gives us a chance to bring the supply side of the jewelry industry into conversation with the rest of the jewelry industry in a way that helps us build relationships. We know the downside of entirely transactional business. We know what happens when we export all our manufacturing and all our supply, pursuing the cheapest price. And what happens is this transactional business relationship that talks only about price and makes our supply chains very, very opaque. And that's not healthy. It's not healthy for anyone in the supply chain. So one of the things that we need to invest in is relationships between suppliers at the beginning all the way to the end of the supply chain on a regular basis. We need to know who we are and what our values are and what we can get from doing business with each other, because business is so much more than just about price. So anyway, that's why we do MJSA Expo Online, and that's why I remain very excited about it. And I'm really excited about our guests today. So I'd like to introduce you to Ted Doudak. He is the founder and president of RIVA Precision Manufacturing, and they are manufacturing from soup to nuts in Brooklyn at the Armory. Right here in the US, they're doing the entire manufacturing process, and Ted will tell you more about that as we go. But I mean, I don't just mean casting or fabricating. I mean all the way through to things like lapidary and enameling. So it's a whole manufacturing environment that produces incredibly high quality work right here in the United States. Joining us today, we have Morgane Nzelemona. And Morgane is an account management specialist with Fairmined, because we're focusing on Ted's Fairmined offering. And Fairmined can be confusing to people. There's a lot of misinformation out there about it. And so we thought, well, let's just bring the source right in and we can get those questions answered and make sure we give you good information today. Now, I see that some of you are raising your hands. If you have a question, pop it into the chat box. I'll watch for your questions and I will forward them to Ted and Morgane. And that will be the easiest way for us to make sure that everybody gets heard. And ask questions the whole session, because we really want this to be a conversation. So, Ted, tell us about, what do I want you to tell us about first? There's so many. I love Ted's place. I absolutely love RIVA. Tell us about the Fairmined chain and how long you've been offering it and why you decided to offer it.
So, hi everybody. So I used to buy chains, tons of chains, back 20 years ago, and then I realized that I can make it in-house. So I bought in a chain company and brought it in. So when Fairmined initiative came, I thought, Fairmined gold can be casted anywhere. You can make so many things with it. But to make chains, you need to have the infrastructure of the ability to alloy, the ability to make wire, the ability to have chain machines, as well as the ability to segregate the metal from the beginning to the end. And I thought of this could be a great opportunity for RIVA, not only to provide the market with chain, but also to have our share in having a cleaner earth or cleaner environment. So if I can partner with Fairmined organization that is trying to have an impact on a cleaner environment, and I come along and I provided to the designers, or later on, if possible, provided to the consumer, then I can fill up a gap that nobody is able to do. So now we started 3 years ago, and it looks until now, looks like in the US, we're the only one that could do that. And I don't know if anybody is doing it in Europe, but it looks like we're filling in a very important link in the Fairmined and in the jewelry industry, as well as Fairmined to the jewelry industry.
That's something you've always done, Ted, is you kind of look, you're very generous with saying, there's somebody else who can do this, and it's another small business owner, and you will recommend that business owner instead of just trying to grab it. I've always appreciated how you try to fill gaps with your peers as well. But you're right, yeah. Fairmined chain, that was a hole.
Yeah, because, I mean, yeah, in casted chain and assembled, I mean, designers can do that, but to make a simple pendant chain, you need machines and you need the infrastructure behind it. And because the market is still small, big companies that make chains will not bother with it. They said, I make tons of, that, and, they have hundreds of styles. They will not give attention to the, taking 500 grams and making a chain out of it in multiple sizes and in 2 carats. They won't bother with it. So I thought this is the best place that I can start.
It's not economical for them. I would love to know from the audience, raise your hand if you're familiar with how chain is made. Not handmade chain, but machine-made chain. Just like to get a sense of the familiarity, because when you're making chain, you actually have to tool the machine up to make a particular style. And the only way you eventually make any money on that chain is if you can run that style over and over and over and over again, because the setup time on chain it's a long time.
Yeah, and the machine dedication, because you need to dedicate that machine to that style only. You can't change the tooling and make 50 grams, this size, and another 100 grams and another size. You want to dedicate that machine to that one style. And currently we provide 4 cable chains and 2 paperclip chains in 14 karat and 18 karat. Yeah.
Well, the paperclip chains are brand new, right? You're just releasing them?
Yeah.
Can you switch to your other camera and show the audience those chains?
Oh. Yeah. So that's the paperclip chain. The first group is the cable chain, and that's the paperclip chain.
They're lovely. So you're up to how many chain now? 8?
Well, total. Yes, you're counting better than me.
I'm guessing. So. Yeah. When you first encountered this hole in Fairmined, you said, I've identified a need nobody else was running. What made you? What was your journey to Fairmined like? How did you decide that Fairmined was going to be the gold source, and how did you get set up to do that?
So I contacted Connie from Fairmined. And I got to know what does it take to be a member. Then she took me through the steps. I became a member, certified member. And then she told me where to buy the Fairmined gold. So we bought our first kilo and we started making chains. After some demand came up, we bought another kilo. And now we keep on buying. As demand is increasing, we keep on buying more and more. And it's segregated from all other metal that we use at RIVA. through order numbers, different number, through name, different name, through color coding. This way, we make sure that what we're sending is Fairmined Gold only.
And what was the most, did you know about Fairmined before you decided to
No.
make it? Like, how did you find out about it? Did you get a tip?
No.
Like, what brought you there?
I don't recall what was the first, but I think I read it. I read about it, and I don't know, through MJSA, through I don't recall, but the first time that I heard about it, I said, oh, this is interesting. You can do something here in New York that impacts South America. Oh, I mean, positively. So I said, oh, that's great. But my mind didn't go to how big will this be? Who started this? You know, what's the business potential? It's after a few emails that I received or somebody talked to me about it, and I don't recall. You know, then I grabbed the idea of having the chain made at RIVA. So
it's just, you liked the social statement of it initially. That was the first spark.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the social statement. It's the impact on the environment, is helping those miners as they are digging through the soil and bringing the gold, putting food on the table and having to cut corners. Well, Fairmined give them the opportunity to put a decent food on the table while protecting the environment and protecting their health. That's the covenant that Fairmined organization is having with those miners. And that's why I decided to be part of it, because that would fail if there's no factory or no designer that's buying into it and providing it to the consumer.
That is such an important point, Ted. We have artisanal mining projects going on all over the world, but attaching the good intentions at the artisanal mining side with market access is a huge challenge. And so it takes people like you to step up and say, okay, I'm going to invest in this.
Yeah. And it's not a big investment for me, because the infrastructure is here, the technicians, the machines, the setup of segregation. I do have it. I've done it over the past 30 years. So I only needed to invest in some quantity of gold and instruct my team, to keep it separate and produce. And of course, my marketing team made it known, and that, I thank my team for that, Angelo, Rebecca, and their team. And that's all. And I think the demand has been great. It was this much. I don't know if I can say numbers on the air, but it was this much in 2020, and it was 5.5 times, 505 times and a half more in 2021. So you can't, I'm looking for this year to be even 5 times more of that. So
that's exciting, because then that means good, clean gold is making it to the market, and not all good, clean gold.
Absolutely.
Video. Fairmined has made a video available to us to screen today, and I'd like to play this now. Kind of gives everybody a good baseline of what Fairmind's about, and then we'll come back to the conversation. Now, a technical advice here. Whether or not the video sound plays, it is in your control. So whatever your device settings are around letting a video play, you may not hear the sound at first. Hover your mouse or touch your finger on the lower part of the screen once the video launches, and make sure you've enabled the sound for your device. So I'm going to just switch over here and drop into our video player and launch, and we'll be back in a minute. It's about a 5-minute video.
Historically, it would be hard to name a mineral more sought after, yet controversial than gold. While over 150 million people, artisanal miners and their families, depend on this activity to make a living, unregulated mining has become associated with damage to both human rights and environmental well-being. While as consumers we all benefit from gold's versatility, how do we ensure that it is both traceable and from a responsible source that respects both people and environment? At Fairmined, we work to make this possible by connecting the market around the world with mining communities producing gold free of exploitation. Companies and consumers not only pay a fairer price for the miners' gold, but also recognise their good practices by paying them a premium, an economic incentive that supports development and environmental conservation. One mining organisation embracing this change is Iquira, Southwest Colombia.
La certificación Fairmined nos ha servido mucho. Primero que todo, se concientiza uno de que el impacto ambiental sea mucho menos.
De no destruir tanto la tierra porque tenemos las dos actividades, como mineros y como agricultores. Todos cultivamos el café, que el plátano, la yuca, el maíz, frijol, todo eso lo cultivamos en nuestra finca. Nos preocupamos por el medio ambiente.
Primero en el cubrimiento de salud, de la seguridad. Tenemos un trabajo estable, tenemos beneficio para nuestras familias también, porque también recibimos un subsidio básicamente para nuestros hijos. En cuanto al estudio, básicamente lo desempeñamos en eso.
Aquí la comunidad también la hemos apoyado a lo que son algunas escuelas, a los ancianatos, a la parroquia de Pacarní, a la parroquia de Iquira.
Each part of the gold's journey requires the same degree of commitment. In Bogotá, Colombia, one of the refineries working with Fairmined has made this conscious shift towards gold that is improving the lives of others.
Para mí el oro de Fairmined significa oportunidad. Estamos viendo un cambio de cultura sobre el consumo de materias primas de una forma sostenible. Creemos completamente en la iniciativa.
A transition is taking place internationally. Jewelers and designers are looking with fresh eyes at this global problem, refusing to turn a blind eye to the reality of gold consumption.
The difference between something that has no transparency or love in the journey of its supply chain versus something that has been treated fairly, the people and the environment that have all contributed at every link of this chain. And that is the price that we pay for jewellery now.
It makes it very, very much easier for us to tell the story of the jewellery. It makes it easy for us to tell the story of the gold. And it helps us to be able to really get the message out that you can make a change.
All the important pieces of jewellery that I owned had some kind of sentimental value to me. I didn't want that to be tainted by the idea that actually someone who had been a part of that journey had not had the right sort of working conditions or not had fair pay for me to be able to enjoy that piece of jewellery.
Uno se siente muy orgulloso saber de que el oro que han trabajado para hacer premios y trofeos lo han utilizado porque es un oro certificado.
Con ese tipo de actividad minera, pues toda la comunidad, su familia, se ven pues beneficiados de una minería bien hecha.
It's not the parting of your money, it's how we are interacting with people and the environment in our supply chains.
I loved the story behind the piece. It was all Fairmined metals. It's become really important to me that all my purchases are Fairmined.
Communities, practitioners and businesses that choose Fairmined do so with the express idea of building a sustainable and fair future for everyone. One that is rewarded through its transparency and empowerment, contributing to a better world through a simple choice. A choice that respects everybody.
All right. I've known about Fairmined for a long time, but I love how that video puts it all together in like one very tight message. Let's talk. Well, first of all, if any of you have questions so far, please feel free to pop them into the chat because we would like to be answering those as we go. Are you guys able to hear me okay? Sometimes the sound cuts off when we come back from a video. All right, good. So one of the things that people ask right away when they're buying Fairmined chain, so you're ready to place an order for Fairmined chain with Ted, and they want to know, can we advertise that we're carrying Fairmined? it's just one of the most confusing aspects of Fairmined for people who are marketing the goods. And Morgane, maybe you could give us, and it looks like your microphone is off, Morgane, but maybe, oh, no, I can hear you. Okay. So maybe you could help, between you and Ted, explain to customers, if I'm buying Fairmined chain from RIVA Precision, can I advertise and market that we're Fairmined?
Well, the first step would be to become a Fairmined licensee, which means becoming a brand authorized to talk about Fairmined and making claims about it. So to do so, as Ted has done for his business, you should get in touch with us and to get your license. So, well, it's a really straightforward process, just a few forms to complete and nothing really special, but we want to know how you're going to work. So basically understand how do you manufacture your jewelry, understand a little bit about, well, who you are and who is your brand, right? And from there are a few rules. I don't know if I will enter in the detail of the sourcing model of Fairmined, which is maybe the most confusing part. But basically, the idea is if your products and collections are made of 100 Fairmined gold, you can communicate about it. You can share the story. This story that you actually just seen in this video, for example, explaining where the gold is from, who were the miners, and what are the hands on these jewels. So
anyone can buy the Fairmined chain and anyone can sell the Fairmined chain. But if they want to be marketing that it's Fairmined chain, then it's important to get the Fairmined license.
Exactly. This is vital, and especially in the case of the chains that Ted is offering, since we do have a tag saying that this is Fairmined, this is actually already kind of a claim about the type of gold used in the product. So this is why it's so important to get the process done to become a licensee.
And is there a cost involved in becoming a licensee?
Yeah, so the main cost would be the membership fee we have. This is an annual fee of $60. And then on top of that, you need to also assume the cost of auditing. So for small and medium brands, so let's say brands that source less than 1.5 kilos of gold during 3 years, we have like a very simplified audit process. Costs something like $300, and you need to pay that every 3 years.
So it's $60 to get the license, and then basically $100 a year, right?
Exactly. And then, of course, the cost of the gold. The particularity of the Fairmined gold is that we pay a fair price to the miners, and we also pay a premium. The premium is $4 per gram. So this is something that you need to know when you're starting working with Fairmined. But actually, this is the price you need to pay if you want to support the miner in their whole transformation.
Well, and I think it's really important to just review with our audience. I know a lot of you come from the, various responsible supply chain groups. So I can see who's in the room. One thing to keep in mind is that most of the value add for the metals and minerals that are mined happens after they're processed.
Exactly.
People working in the mine, they're selling the raw material, and they get the lowest possible value for the goods. So, the gold gets moved off to refineries, that's where the value's added, that's where people start making money on it. And one of the things that we need to do if we want more equitable supply chains is make sure that money is going to the miners so that they can afford to mine safely, so that they can afford to mine without mercury.
Yeah.
So that they can use the tools that will help them mine safely and effectively, and also so that they can treat the land when they exhaust that mining environment and have a sustainable way to live beyond it.
Yeah. Not forgetting that those have families. So they're sending their kids to school. They don't have governments that pay off the college tuition and school tuition. So these people are very poor. So when you're paying that $4 extra, it goes a long way.
It goes a very long way. And that's, I think, the important argument for going ahead and getting Fairmined certified for that little $60 application and $100 a year.
Yeah.
You can tell the Fairmined story so that you can charge the extra on to the consumer, because you're explaining the reason for the premium, and it becomes part of your marketing story.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, just to add something on that, one of the main benefits for the brand as well is that we help you with this question of marketing. For example, sharing with you all the marketing materials that you may need. For example, you just saw one of the videos we have, but we have a lot of great videos, great stories, photos that you can also use to communicate this message, of course. Because I think, I mean, all the content and all the story is great, but if you have powerful images and you can put a face on this story, this is way more powerful.
Yep, absolutely. Maddie actually has two questions. Maddie wants to know, Ted, do you know exactly which mine your gold is coming from? And she also wants to know if you have a minimum for chain purchases.
The second question, Andrea, I didn't hear it.
The second is if you have a minimum for chain purchases.
So there's no minimum. We want to make sure that, well, that we want to sell as much as we can, obviously. But there's some designers that they want to buy one piece, two piece. They want to see, how does it look, or if it has a place in their showcase or in their story. But we also sell footage, which is 5 feet, if you don't want to buy a complete chain. So for those that wants to assemble their own necklace or their own bracelet. So we at first we gave it like in all kind of sizes and shapes and stuff, but later on we saw that the demand is uncontrollable. Like some people want a small piece, others like 17-inch and stuff. So we've organized it. Now there's a specific styles and specific lengths that you order, as well as if you want 5 feet. So it's more organized now.
And the first question is, do you know which mine your gold is coming from?
Yes, we know where it's coming from. It is on the certified purchase, and Angela is helping me here. It comes in on the certificate of purchase. Yes, it's from Auropuno. It's coming.
Okay.
Auropuno. Yeah, as usual, Morgane help us with all the information, all the support, and answer all our questions. So Morgane can pronounce it better than me.
If you know a little bit more about the mine, Auropuno is actually a very special mine, but because it's not only a Fairmined certified mine, but it's also a Fairmined Ecological mine. It means that they work without any mercury, without any cyanide in the extraction process. So this is very impressive, because actually there is only 2 mines with this kind of certificate at the moment. So really great workers, and they are based in the region of Puno, which is actually the highland part of Peru, which is a region very known for all the dramatic accidents we have with mining, and with so they have really become like an example for the entire community, since they are actually one of the few mines that are able to work this way, to think about the people they work with, but also being to develop such advanced technique in terms of extraction. So you should be proud of your gold, Ted.
And Morgane,
I am. Yes.
Morgane, you're based down in Medellin, right, in Colombia?
Actually, right now I'm based in the countryside of Medellin.
Okay.
And region that is actually well known also for the mining. We have a lot of gold in Colombia as well. So.
Absolutely. Chloe has a question. She said, one of our previous casters refused to sign the Fairmined license forms, and we've had issues with other casters who do work at Fairmined. We're very interested in both Fairmined Chains and Fairmined rings and pendants, would RIVA be able to cast in Fairmined using our wax models?
So here comes my my manufacturing experience. In casting or giving a manufacturing service to the market, you want to control the process from the beginning, meaning the wax, the sprue, the thickness of the material from the beginning to the end of the product. And also you want to be able to, if the casting fail, you want to print it again and make it one more time. So the reason that we put all the process of manufacturing under one roof is that we can guarantee a good product to the customer. So if the lead time is 2 weeks, the customer gets it in 2 weeks. But if the customer says, use my gold, use my wax, use my rubber, use my, then I no more can guarantee the delivery on time. So that's why we take their CAD or their project from the beginning, and then we troubleshoot all the difficulties in it. This way we can guarantee that it's delivered on time. So if somebody sends me their waxes, it doesn't work. Like I would look very bad if I put their wax on the tree and cast it and it doesn't come out good. So not only I failed delivering it on time, but I cannot redeem myself by having another wax and cast it within 2 days to deliver on time. So my hands are tight. So I would rather that they send me the CAD file, and then I will do the troubleshooting in the CAD file, the sprueing, and then I would cast it. And sometimes we would cast 2 pieces if it was very challenging. This way we can get.
Oh, looks like we've lost Ted. I am sure he will jump back in here in a moment. I don't know what happened there. That's what Ted's describing isn't coming from a desire to like get more money out of the manufacturing process. It's really a nightmare for a caster to have to work with someone else's waxes. And I know there are casters out there who will do it, but a lot of times the production problems that we have with casting with contract casters are actually coming from people who don't have the control of the front part of the process. So it's something that RIVA has always been really clear about, and it allows them to produce a quality result. Just waiting for Ted to pop back into the session. I'm watching because he's going to knock on that door. Morgane, can you tell us how many different Fairmined mines are in operation at this point?
Of course. So at the end of the year, we were happy to certify the new mine, the mine of La Gabriela in Colombia. So now we have 6 certified mines, 3 in Colombia and 3 in Peru. I think it's important to know that, as I mentioned, we have different type of mines. So 2 of them are ecological mines, and also to keep in mind that we are talking about small scale mines, meaning that their production is around, well, it can vary a lot, but it can be around from 3 to 5 kilos a month, more or less. The mine we have, for example, in Peru are situated, as I mentioned, in the region of Puno, and in the case of Colombia, in different parts of the country. And every time it's very interesting to see the story. So I invite you to have a look, for example, at our Fairmined website, where you will find the story of the community, also some videos if you want to know more about the process and see how does a mine look like, because I'm not sure that, I think we all have, this graphic vision of what can be a gold mine, with these deep pits, and but with the Fairmined mines, we have really different kinds of mines. So please go and tell me what you think.
So I want to come back, because don't let me forget. I want you to describe what an ecological mine is. But let's go back to Ted for a moment. So Ted, you were explaining why you like to manage the entire manufacturing process, so you can hit deadlines and quality goals.
Yes, and I tip my hat to those casters that they take the waxes and put them on a tree. They take the waxes from the customer and cast them, because that's their specialty. So they have perfected that process. But at sometimes they will say, "Oops, I lost the wax," and they ask the customer to send another one. But they have a unique specialty that I don't have. What I have is the ability to redeem myself quickly and make another one and send it to the customer to deliver on time. So that's why I don't receive waxes, especially if you receive waxes from all over the United States. Every wax has a different thickness, different sprue location. So it's no way I can succeed in my service to those designers. So I would rather produce the wax in here.
But what about casting in Fairmined? Because that was sort of the other part of her question.
Yes. So currently there is at least 2 casters to the trade, and very famous. They've been doing that service for 2 or 3 years, and we are thinking now of when can we come on board. So it is something that we're studying within the coming few weeks to see when is the right time for us to provide the casting service to the trade. So far we have not decided, but it is something on the discussion soon.
Okay. And then a couple of people are asking if you have plans for other Fairmined chain styles.
So yes, but we've just added the paperclip. So within a few weeks, we will see what else we can add, because it all has to be driven by demand. I mean, yes, we are stretching ourselves moving forward and making it available to the market even before demand is created. But we have to wait a little bit until demand increases before we add more styles. But the market, I think, is in immediate need of finding. So like lobster claws and hooks and others. So we're working on that to make it available very, very soon also. So
does anyone know of anyone doing Fairmined findings? Because I don't. I think it's a very important hole to fill.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah.
I can answer that. Actually, for now, we are still the only kind of findings, and I don't think that we can call them findings, are chains. It has been very challenging to work on that, but I'm hopeful that we can work on that with Ted, for example, for the US market.
Are you talking to Ted here all the time?
Yeah,
yes. No, doing it. We need this supply. Well, John Lar's making a strong vote for box chain, Ted. So there's a voice of demand for you right there. Michelle had a clarifying question about the license. She said, so without a license, can I list it in my product description that it's using Fairmined chain?
You cannot. You cannot, because as I said, this is already a claim. Since the moment you are saying that a product is made of Fairmined gold, you're making a claim. So you need to become a licensee. And we don't do that in order to make money on anything. Our only concern is transparency. We don't want, we have seen too many examples of greenwashing claims made about Fairmined, when sometimes some brands, for example, use only one chain of Fairmined and they decide to communicate it. So for us, having a connection with the brands is also a way to make sure that we communicate all transparently as possible, and that actually your support, the support brought to the miners, is shown accordingly to the real support you're actually providing. I don't know if it's clear. But, yeah.
Okay. Heather has sort of it's an important question. It helps people understand even further what it means to buy Fairmined. She's saying, do you use Fairmined gold for the clasps on your finished chain necklaces? Or are you considering the clasp, the 15% allowed for the Fairmined label that is not Fairmined gold?
So the lobster claws and the spring rings that are on the chains now, they are not Fairmined. And my first question to the Fairmined community, Morgane and Connor earlier, I said, how about the jump rings? How about the spring rings? How about the hooks? They said, well, we are starting, as long as the main part of the jewelry piece is Fairmined, then you can sell it as Fairmined. Because it's a journey, the casting later on, the chain, and later on, findings, and then more and more. It's a journey. It's not a one target, one goal. So yes, the findings will happen later, like the hooks and the lobster claws. The spring ring will wait for some time, because spring ring is a mass production item. But the lobster claw and the hooks will come soon. Soon meaning a few weeks we will have hooks and lobster claws in Fairmined material.
That's such an important thing that you just said, Ted, that it is a journey. One of the things that can sort of inhibit some people from deciding to start a responsible sourcing journey is their sense that if I can't do 100%, it's not good enough. Or their fear that, well, if I say this is Fairmined, am I saying this other thing is bad? The reality is we make big changes one step at a time. So just step in, do something right, get your license, tell the story of doing something right. We'll get lobster claws and then we'll get beyond it. Yep. But if everybody would approach it one step at a time, we would make so much progress.
I mean, for all of us that are, over 25, we understood where the recycled paper and recycled metal and bottles and stuff started. I mean, before we used to mix them all together, put them in a garbage, but at some time we started to segregate them. And then we heard about places that are using that material. And then we hear that communities are adopting that, countries are adopting that. So it is a journey. It's not a one step or one target, but it's a journey.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And if I may add something, I think that there is a lot of way to start working with Fairmined. You know, maybe I said before, you need to have pieces that are 100%. Yeah, the pieces. But this doesn't mean that your whole production, your whole collection needs to be Fairmined from day one. No, I would love you to do so. But please, I invite you to have a look, for example, on our blog, but I can summarize here some of the ideas. You have so many ways to start. It can be with one collection as an option, for example. A lot of brands do that also. Or you can also decide to simply mix your Fairmined gold with other source of gold. So it's already a really powerful way to start supporting the miners. And you don't have to take care about all this traceability issue. But, well, you won't be able to do the same claims as people that do this whole work of traceability. But you will be already able to say, okay, from maybe, I don't know, I'm sourcing 10 kilos of gold every year. So let's say that 5 are Fairmined. And you're actually making so much good for the community because it's already $20,000 that you are actually offering, for example, to the mining community. And with that, we can do a lot. So there's no excuses to start.
Elisa is asking if you have any intention to offer other metal colors like a rose gold in Fairmined.
Not yet. No, so the basics are 14 yellow, and 18 yellow. So that's the decision that we took from the beginning. Once the demand increase, then we will move into the rose and the white. But the demand is not there yet to buy a kilo and alloy it as rose or white. It's still early. But maybe with the casted material, once we open up for casting service, that will bring it up sooner.
Well, and this is where we can once again talk about the power of supply chain collaboration. So when we give Ted this business, it gives him the capacity he needs to invest in the next piece of the business, which allows us to buy more Fairmined gold and send that money back to the mines. So it takes whole supply chains working together to solve these problems and build capacity.
RIVA is only one link in the chain, one link in the chain. Fairmined or Morgane, it is one link in the chain. We are a community and we want to impact, the earth. We want to impact where the gold is being taken out of the earth, the community that is taking it out. And the people that are enjoying that product. I mean, this is very satisfying. Is that my jewelry is mined in a place that it doesn't destroy the environment. So everybody wins in the chain.
Absolutely. Morgane, I said I'd come back to this. You've referred a couple of times now to ecological mine. Tell us what that is.
So, well, the main difference between an ecological mine and a Fairmined mine, Fairmined classical mine, I would say, is about the way it's concerned actually the use of chemicals. What we do since the beginning with all the Fairmined mines is that we accompany them to reduce the use of mercury and cyanide and etc. We know, I think it's important for you to understand that this process is a progressive one. It takes sometimes years, a lot of effort, a lot of education as well. Because, for example, in the case of mercury that you all know, I think, it has been a chemical used for years by the miners because it's so efficient, so quick to get the gold.
They can afford it and it's transportable. It's so easy to get to the site.
It's perfect, no? But if you think about but if you think about the effects on health and on the world in general, this is terrible. And just for you to know, ASM Gold, the artisanal and small-scale mining is actually one of the main sources of mercury emission. So this is why when we start working with a mine, one of the first topics we address is, okay, how is the situation with chemicals? And what we achieve with the ecological mines is that after all this year, they are actually able to process the gold and to extract the gold without using any mercury or any cyanide. So for that, they need to invest, for example, in some gravimetric table that actually help them separating the gold from the rest of the minerals. But it doesn't stop there. Our goal with the ecological mine is also to focus on the rest of the environmental management. So, for example, we're talking about water supplies. How can they actually remediate the waters after using the water to separate the gold, for example? How can they also reforest the zone where they are working? So there is a lot of things we are still working on with the mine afterwards. Just to clarify, this doesn't mean that the rest of the mines are using a lot of chemicals in a terrible way. No, it just means that the rest of the mines are in the process of getting there, and that this process actually takes time. So, and also another thing, some mines are simply not able to completely eradicate the use of chemicals due to the kind of extraction they are making. So sadly, we won't be able to convert all the mines into ecological ones, but we are trying at least one step at a time.
Yeah, it's a journey. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, and Jalmar had asked a question. I'm kind of rephrasing because you've given part of the answer, but of the Fairmined mine sites, are all of them mines that have had to go through some kind of remediation and investment to become Fairmined, or do you also start mines from the very beginning with a Fairmined standard in place?
Well, actually, it's a kind of a mix, right? Some of the mines we work with are mines that were accompanied by other members of our community. I would say that now we are several NGOs and cooperation actors that work to support those mines in this journey towards sustainability. So some mines, for example, have been working with, for example, the Swiss cooperation to achieve a certain level of formality, and then they keep on working with us to achieve a better, higher standard, right? So this is something. And I wanted to mention also at the Alliance for Responsible Mining, which is the NGO behind the Fairmined label, we are also working with a new program called the Sustainable Mine Program, where actually our intention is to see how we can create alliances with market actors, cooperation actors, and so on, government as well, of course, to actually accompany those mines from the early stages, when they are just at the beginning, actually even like mine that would need to first get formalized before becoming certified. Because this process actually takes years. For example, I can think about La Gabriela, which is the last mine we just certified. We have been working together for 3 years, and only to get them until, at the level of the certification. So in 3 years, it's actually a good performance, you know. But in some cases, it may take more than that. So I think union is really important when it comes to change this sector, because there is a lot of efforts that needs to come from the miners, but I think it's very important that you also and all the links of these chains participate in the improvement of the practices.
Absolutely. Ted, there's another vote for wheat chain. So now you've got votes for boxes and wheat chain. Eva is continuing to parse the licensing discussion, which I'm glad of, because there's a lot of parsing of the Fairmined licensing discussion that happens out there. So she is saying, can I say I'm using chains from RIVA, which makes Fairmined chains? Or actually, I want to say it exactly the way she put it, except for this line. There. I'm using chains from RIVA, which is a Fairmined licensee. Can she say that?
No.
Clear and simple. Yep. But it's a question that's asked a lot, so I wanted to make sure I asked.
You actually made a claim about Fairmined, so it wouldn't be fair even for the rest of the brands. So
yeah. And once again,
this is really easy. I make it really easy for you.
Couple of forms. It's $60. It's $100 a year, and then you can tell the story, and you can use that to charge the prices that pass the premium on to the consumer, and let that be an intentional part of the chain. So let's see. I'm looking for other questions because the chat box is just bouncing around here. Let's see. I'm skimming here. No, I'm not seeing any more questions. You're welcome, Eva. Thank you for asking the question, because we hear these Fairmined questions all the time. So it's just, we've got the source here. Let's get them answered.
I don't know. I don't know if you would allow me to maybe. Well, I wanted to mention something to the brands that are here and that haven't started yet to work with Fairmined. I have a great challenge for you. Actually, a couple of months ago, we launched something called the Fairmined 100 Challenge, encouraging brands, a lot of brands like yourself, to take a first step and just start with a small collection. And we are really excited because this challenge is going very well. We already have a lot of brands joining, and we would love to see your creation also made with this Fairmined Gold and see if it works for you. If your clients are actually sensitive to this story and are responding positively to that, which I'm sure they will. So don't hesitate to join the Fairmined Challenge. I will let a link in the forum if you want to know more about it. And let's start with something. And for example, it can be with this challenge.
Absolutely. Elisa is asking Ted, how will you be announcing the release of new Fairmined products as they become available?
Instagram and LinkedIn, and we put it as a subtitle on our email, as well as Morgane team. I mean, they are very helpful. I feel like they are my team. So whenever we want them to help us in marketing a launch, we're partners. And if you're licensed also, consider them as your partner. Your success is their success, and we want to impact the maximum. So we all partner in that. So thank you, Morgane.
And also, if you want to have more information about of course, Ted's website is amazing and beautiful, but you also have a list of the suppliers that offer Fairmined if you want to have a look at it and know what is actually available. We try to keep it updated, even if it's Ted and his team are really keen to launch a lot of new things. So first, it's sometimes quite difficult to follow. But
Now, Ted, we've only got a couple minutes left, but I kind of want to get this in here. You've recently started a lapidary operation there, and I know that you are talking with the Ethical Gem Suppliers Group. So can we expect to see more ethical gems flowing through there as well?
Yes. So, and thanks to you, you helped us to start. You connected us with the responsible miners, a group of your friends in the industry. So that connected us to them. We started to buy some. And I don't claim that I'm the biggest supplier of responsible gems, but I'm starting, and I love to start new ventures. I know they go a long way, but they need a risk taker. So we started a year and a half. We bought some of the roughs. I hired a lapidary gentleman who has like 30 years plus experience. I was actually at Tucson last week, and we visited the Responsible Miners Group. We visited also some stone suppliers because I know that as a manufacturer for the past 33 years is that the challenge of a designer is having their product delivered on time, and it's beautiful, and on top of that it's ethical, be it Fairmined or be it responsible mind. So all those work together. So that's why we added enamel 3 years ago, and we added lapidary a year and a half ago, and 2.5 years ago we added we joined with Fairmined. So having all those under one roof gives comfort to the designer that they can promise to their customers what they can deliver. And by connecting with RIVA, we can guarantee that to the designer or to the consumer.
And Ted, I don't know if you can see the chat, but Stuart Poole with the Ethical Gem Suppliers is in the audience, and he sent you a thank you for your support for coming to the Ethical Gem Fair in Tucson.
Thank you, Stuart. Yeah.
So we're almost out of time. I'm watching for new questions, but do you have, both of you, just a parting thought to leave our audience with today?
And more than what we said. So, my philosophy is small steps go a long way, but you need to move and make it, because there's so many people that they care about the environment, and they care about the people that bring the gold from the earth. If you are a designer, or if you are a consumer, or even if you are a manufacturer, do your share. Even if it's a small one, it will go a long way. That's my statement.
Excellent.
Yeah, this is a good one. Well, I think mine will be complementary, since I think every gram really counts here, and you have the opportunity to use, one gold that you can really be proud of, and add so much value to pieces that are so beautiful by themselves. So let's incorporate this story of provenance, origin, and give back to the community that are actually at the origin of what you are doing every day. So I think it's a great option, and it can be so easy to start. We have so many ways to do it. So please, if you have questions, you want to know how to start, let's take a moment and do that. I'm more than available. I will let my contact as well in the chat, and please contact me. And I think that Ted and his team can be also great partners to start this journey. So come along and welcome to the Fairmined family for those that want to start somewhere.
Excellent. So I think I'll pick up my closing thoughts from those two. Denise, I see you're asking a question about provenance and digitizing the supply chain. That's a really big question that it takes a lot more than the last minute of this conversation to answer. But here's what I will share. To start, the first thing you can do is buy Fairmined chain from Ted. That's your starting point. Support the suppliers in the space who are taking risks and investing money to make these materials available. So that's your first step, is just support the suppliers who are committed to it. We've talked about two of them today. RIVA for your chain, for all the products that are coming. Ted mentioned ethical gem suppliers for gem material. Participate. So you can participate in Amazon Aid's Cleaner Gold Network. There's a meeting coming up later this month where we're actually looking for people to join committees to participate. And one of the clean gold supplies that's part of our Cleaner Gold Network is Fairmined. So, join the Cleaner Gold Network. At the next meeting, we'll be talking about advocacy and policy and how to support more programs to get, and where we can find these materials that are responsibly sourced from artisanal miners. So that's Amazon Aid's Cleaner Gold Network. Come to the Chicago Responsible Jewelry Conference. Be a voice and a participant in what we're doing there. And join MJSA. MJSA is the Manufacturers Trade Association. MJSA is the group that's bringing suppliers together with buyers and helping forge these relationships that help us be holistic supply chains and not just transactional ones. So there's a lot of ways that you can participate, and a flavor for everyone. So thank you so much. Thank you, Morgane, for joining us today and fighting through your technical difficulties out in the countryside of Medellin. You did great. And for all your valuable work and support in this space. We need you and 1,000 clones of you to help us make this work happen. It's hard work, guys. It's out there in the field working the miners. This is not office work. This is hard heart work. So thank you very much for that. Ted, thank you for continuing to invest in us. Your investment in RIVA is an investment in the rest of us and helping us make this journey. So thank you. And thank you to our audience for joining us. You've been great and busy, and this was fantastic. And thank you, MJSA, for letting us do this MJSA Expo Online series. So with that, I shall bid you all adieu.
Thank you. And come and see us at MJSA, and I'll be there.
MJSA Expo is coming up in New York, and we've got a lot of fun things planned, so please come.
Yeah.
We'll see you there. All right. Bye, everyone. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.